Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey, how you doing? My name is Rusty Martis. I'm an Air Force Mustang and OEF veteran, and I want to welcome you to Veterans and Bars Getting Bourbon. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome back to Veterans and Bars Getting Bourbon. I'm here with my special friend, Jesse Neack, with 22 Until None and Team RWB. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. But I want to first just make sure that we talk about how we got these awesome drinks. So we're drinking some good old Buffalo Trace Old Fashions. And so we're going to send it over to that bit. We'll be back in just a second. All right, well, welcome back to Veterans and Bars Getting Bourbon. Of course, I'm here with my good friend Jesse Neack with Team RWB and 22 Until None. And we'll get into that in just a few moments as we delve into some of the 10 questions about your military history and, of course, you know, what you do with Team RWB and with 22 Until None. Right. But before we do that, we gotta have a drink. Right? We got problems with it, right?
Yeah.
So if you're fairly new to watching Veterans and Bars Getting Bourbon, I always like to choose the bourbon based on the guest that I have. And tonight I have a specific bourbon that's a hard charger and a pioneer, and it's very, very smooth, which just screams to me.
I feel like somebody sent you a bio of me.
Right, Jesse. That just screams me to Jesse. So tonight I have chosen the wonderful and the awesome Buffalo Trace.
Very nice.
Yep.
Approve already.
So according to its label, it even says the bold heritage of the mighty buffalo and the individuality and pioneering spirit of those early Americans. That just screams you.
Like it.
And hopefully we get a shot of your outfit tonight a little bit later, because he's all
little preview.
done up in the American spirit, which is also perfect for Buffalo Trace. Of course, you can drink this neat. You can drink it on the rocks, but I always like to make it with it being the holiday spirit, because this Buffalo Trace bourbon has a nice caramel taste to it. Has some kind of an orange peel kind of taste to it. A touch of honey and that cinnamon. This is the December show, so that just screams Christmas to me.
Does, yeah.
Of course, it has a little bit of vanilla to it, and of course the oak taste and the corn that goes with it. So I love to make this some good old Martis Old Fashions with this. So it's going to be good stuff. So let's get this started. Got some Buffalo Trace glasses. All right. To get that started, we always want to start with just a cube of sugar. So we're going to muddle that, if you will. Yeah. So if you kind of just break that up for us here. As you're doing that, I'm going to grab some of the other ingredients that go into the Martis Old Fashioned. And of course, we'll need, once you get that muddled, you can fill that with some ice.
Just sling it all over the bar here.
Just throw it everywhere, beat it up. All right, perfect. You're getting that second one done. I'm gonna just fill that full of ice here.
I feel like I'm back in science class.
Right?
Working in a petri dish.
This is, you know, we go all out for old fashions here.
Nice.
So with that, so go ahead and pour you some bourbon to taste there.
All right.
And with a traditional old fashioned, of course, we want to add just, see, I like, any bourbon I do, I always do, you know, just a little bit of bourbon.
Okay.
Maybe a little heavy hand on that. Of course, you want to add just a splash of sweet vermouth.
Okay.
And with old fashioned, it's always good to have just a bitter or two. I like 2 drops of bitter here.
2, okay.
Nothing too crazy.
All right.
And of course, we have an orange peel.
Nice.
Give that orange taste, you know, that goes with that the sweet.
Give it a little squirt.
Just squeeze it right in there and drop it.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to drop you a cherry as well. Now I got that secret ingredient I mentioned when I make my Martis Manhattan, or excuse me, Martis Old Fashioned. It's with a little bit of cherry and vanilla to really bring out that flavor of that of the Buffalo Trace to it.
Because there's alcohol in it, I won't be opposed to the type of beverage that is.
All right.
I lean the other way.
Okay, and you can go that way, definitely. All right, let's give that a taste there.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh, that's very
That's
nice.
smooth and good. That's really good.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
excellent. It fits perfectly in my hand, too.
It's perfect.
Wow.
I love these glasses. Hey, we'll be right back here in just a minute. We'll get to learn a little bit more about Jesse.
Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome back to Veterans and Bars Getting Bourbon. My name is Rusty Martis, and of course I'm here with my special guest, Jesse Neack, from 22 Until None and Team RWB, and we're going to delve into some about your military career.
All right.
So to get started, just kind of tell me, why did you decide to join the military?
So I'll spare you, and I won't tell you the long version, which starts with me dating a senior when I was a junior, and she was taking this test called the ASVAB, and I had no idea what the hell it was.
Yeah.
So I took it.
What is an ASVAB for those that don't know? You know,
The ASVAB is the it's kind of a not necessarily skills test, but it's a way for the military to determine maybe aptitude test is probably the better explanation. But anyway, so when I took that, I aced it, and I had no idea what that meant, and so I just went on with my life. And then I was working at Burger King the summer between my junior year and senior year, and 2 Army recruiters came to see me at work and asked to speak to me, and they told me about the life of an airborne ranger in the infantry in the Army, and I said, let's do it.
right?
So fast forward 2 weeks from then, after my mom crying a lot and my dad telling me the only service I couldn't go into was the Marine Corps, I drove up to Columbus and joined the Army as an infantryman.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
and I threw out the hua in there.
I heard it. I appreciate that.
Well, cheers to
Cheers to
hua, huh? All right, so you were an Army Ranger. So talk a little bit about that experience and going through that whole process of becoming an Army Ranger.
So for those that don't know, Ranger School is the Army's premier leadership school. So I did not, sir, and there were some guys that will get really mad if you call me an Army Ranger. So I am Ranger qualified.
Okay.
I went to Ranger School from the 101st Airborne Division, so I did not serve in a Ranger battalion,
Okay.
which are technically Rangers to some guys. But the reason I was sent to Ranger School,
And hence the airborne hat that you have on right now,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
The reason I was sent is because my unit saw leadership skills in me and sent me to the school to develop those skills. And it was one of the best things that happened to me during my short-lived military career, and I think we'll get to that story a little later.
We will, because I know a little bit about it, but we want to share that, obviously.
Yeah, but you know, that experience for me has really kind of lit a fire under me and how I now lead my life and have led my life for the last, let's see, I went to Ranger School in 2002, so the last 16 years.
Awesome. And the 101st is where?
101st Airborne Division is Fort Campbell, Kentucky,
And
even though 99% of the base is in Tennessee.
Right. We don't talk about the
headquarters is in
Tennessee
Kentucky.
part, though,
Yeah,
right?
that's where all the training and all the miserable stuff happens.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, as part of your military career, and you kind of highlighted just a little bit, you can touch about it here if you want to, but what are some of the positive and maybe some of the negative things that you got from being in the military?
So for me, you know, I was just a young, dumb kid when I joined when I was 18, didn't have a lot of direction in my life, and I really think I have a lot of friends that it really could have helped them out. So for me, it was just a baseline. It was a way for me to find out who I was, what motivated me, what gave me drive, and you know, all of the. It's funny, I'm in an MBA. I just started my MBA program at Thomas More
Awesome.
2 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And this past week, we were asked to write a personal vision essay. I've never really thought about writing a personal vision essay, so when I actually sat down to think about that, I realized that what motivated me and what drove me, the way I live every day, and the reason why I do the things that led us to meet,
Right.
is that I'm led by the 7 Army core values. And so, and the acronym for those core values is leadership. And so, I think for me, that was one of the greatest takeaways from my military service was that sense of purpose and that sense of leadership. But a leadership role in Team RWB, where I'm the Veteran Outreach Director, and then being the chapter president here in Cincinnati for 22 Until None.
Which we will talk about here in just a few moments, but I want to jump back to 2 questions I actually have for you when you were telling me your story about your military time. The first one is you said that your parents or your mom said you couldn't be a Marine, but your father was a Marine?
So Dad said I couldn't be a Marine.
Okay.
So my dad went to boot camp in 1969.
Okay.
And for those that are aware, the military is much kinder and gentler than it was back then. And so in my dad's mind, when I wanted to join the military, he was thinking that, and he knew, knowing me, he would thinking I would go to basic training and I would mouth off, and a drill sergeant would throw me against the wall.
Right.
It's changed drastically since then, but that was his only stipulation for me. My mom, I was 17, so I needed her signature.
Right.
So we had a lot of convincing to do to her, but she was okay once we talked about it, and she realized that I was doing it for the right reasons. Why I wanted to go, and then the benefits that it would afford me too. The education once I get out, she knew how much service meant to my father and to our family as a whole, so she was okay with it.
That's awesome, and obviously it afforded you some good benefits because you talked about using the GI Bill to get your degree and moving forward in a career after you got that, and I'm sure it brought all your leadership skills that you talked about a little bit earlier, and a lot of those soft skills which the military does for you. It provides a lot of those communications and leadership and other
leading under duress. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. That's awesome. The second piece I want to highlight that you mentioned, that you said that your career kind of ended a little bit shorter than you expected. Do you mind talking a little bit about what happened?
No, not at all. So I actually did 2 different tours in the Army. So I joined right out of high school, did a couple years, missed home because I was just a young kid, and they sent me 3,000 miles from home to Fort Richardson, Alaska. Wow. So it was beautiful up there. So I did my time there, came home, and then missed the Army immediately. So stayed home for a little bit and then rejoined, and that's when I went to Fort Campbell in July of 2001. We all know what happened a couple months later to our country that drastically changed how our military, at the time, because we'd been at peace, so we were immediately thrust into wartime after that. So we immediately started training up for combat because we didn't know because the 101st being one of the biggest units in the military, we knew that we were going to be deployed at some point. My unit did not get deployed. The Rakasans, they got deployed, and so which actually ended up helping me out because I was then able to go to Ranger School in the interim. But my thank you back from Ranger School were walking orders to Iraq.
Nice. Yeah.
That was December of 2002. We left Fort Campbell February of 2003. Spent a month in Kuwait, and then we were part of the initial invasion force into Iraq in 2003.
Wow.
A couple months later, I was the lead man on a mission north of Mosul. We were going on a cave clearing mission.
So just, your average day walking through the park type of Mosul. Yeah.
Kind of a trail hike in the desert or something like that. Yeah.
With all kinds of craziness going around you. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was about it's probably 1 in the morning.
Okay.
We were flying. I was in the lead helicopter. We had a trail helicopter behind us. We were taking 4 sniper teams in. And we were in the process of landing, and we were browned out from the sand. For those that don't know, when the rotor wash from the helicopters, when you get close to sand, it sucks all that up and creates just a vacuum around the helicopter where your sight is completely blocked. We hit what myself and everyone else in my helicopter, including the crew chief, or including the entire crew, thought was the ground. It was not the ground, it was an air pocket, which feels very much like the ground when you hit it in the helicopter. And me being the point man that night, I stepped out and we were 45 feet up.
So sand was at the bottom, obviously 45 feet down below.
I don't remember much of what happened that night. I was told by doctors because of the amount of time that I was unconscious, that I lost some of that time back. So for me, the last thing I remember is taking my seatbelt off, which is 10 minutes before I stepped out of that helicopter.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. So, I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're a disabled veteran based off that injury and accident that you went through.
Yeah. Right. So, amazingly enough, think about someone stepping unknowingly out of a helicopter 45 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
The only things that happened to me, now granted they're serious, but I fractured my pelvis, I ruptured my bladder, and I tore my urethra. No head injuries, no back injuries, no broken extremities. So I think there are 2 things that saved me that night. the big guy upstairs, and then my first tour, I was a paratrooper.
Okay.
And everything in the military is made by the lowest bidder. So we don't have those nice parachutes where the guys land on X's right in the middle of Great American Ballpark or Paul Brown Stadium.
Right.
No, you hit the ground like a sack of potatoes at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. So you learn to do what's called a PLF, a parachute landing fall. And you absorb the impact of the landing on your right or left side. I'm pretty sure subconsciously that night I did a PLF to the left side, and that's where my pelvis fractured.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Cheers to that fall.
Cheers to that fall, yeah. So is that one of, I don't know, your fondest memories or worst memories? What is one of your fondest memories you have?
So I'll say, as much as we complained when we were in country in Iraq, because obviously it wasn't a vacation. We were there, and it was terrible conditions. One of my fondest memories was, the war. We were there as part of the initial invasion force, and that initial probably fighting lasted, let's say, 2 months or so. After that, it switched immediately to humanitarian efforts.
Right.
And so for about 2 or 3 weeks, I think, myself and the rest of the guys in my unit, we would get dropped off at point A, and we would have to patrol to point B. Typically, it would be 12 hours or so. And in between there, any village that you came upon, you would check to see if they had water, electricity, any immediate medical needs, anything like that. And one day after we finished and we came out of a little village, all the kids from the village came up and had soccer balls. And we played a game of soccer with kids.
That's awesome.
And it was just
cool.
one of the coolest memories. In country, in the middle, we're an invading force in this country.
Yep.
And those kids they realized that we were there for good and understood that, it was okay. And so it was that was a really cool experience.
That's one of the kind of the cool things about being in the military, I guess. You get exposed to so much, right?
Yeah.
Across all environments and all types of cultures, and kids are kids no matter where you go.
Yeah.
Just some are fairly lucky if you're in the United States, you have all these resources available, and some, playing a soccer game out in the middle of the desert is just the coolest thing in the world. All right, so tell me a little bit. I mean, we talked about it somewhat, about obviously your fall that you experienced and kind of put you out of the military a little bit earlier. But what are some of the other challenges that you saw while you were in the service?
For me, one of the biggest challenges, and that's what really kind of kicked me in gear once I got transitioned out of the military, is that, I'll back up a little bit. One of the biggest problems that I think we still have currently in our military, and we're maybe trying to fix slowly, is mental health. So for me, when I got back, so I obviously getting hurt, my path back to the States from somebody that's deployed is slightly different. I went through Lonsdale, went through the medical center there, then through Walter Reed here, then to the medical center at Fort Campbell, then I was discharged home.
Okay.
And then because we realized that my career was likely over in the infantry, I was asked to do a mental health evaluation of myself coming back from deployment. It was a checklist, much like this piece of paper you have sitting over here. And in my mind, the soldier knows the minute you say yes to anything like that, that's going to create a whole storm of things for you.
Yeah.
More appointments and all this and that. And so even if any of the things on the page were applicable to me, no.
Right. Well, I think that's a great point, and I talk to people about that all the time. Is when you get back, especially from deployment, what's the first thing you want to do? Get to your family, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Get to your family, and they ask you all these questions that they want to prohibit you from getting to your family, and it's just not conducive to what they're trying to accomplish.
It's not at all. And so for me, that was one of the, and I didn't realize it at the time because I was just a soldier trying to get to my family.
Right.
But now looking back on that, I realized, wow, that we could. The problem that we have right now in the veteran community, the biggest problem, is suicide.
Right.
And we could have, if we could have by doing an independent evaluation versus a checklist, if we could have prevented one of those, it would have been worth it.
Absolutely.
But I think we're getting there, and I applaud the military for obviously recognizing the need for it. Right. But back to your original question, for me, transitioning out of the service was incredibly difficult because you're given this process, and it says, hey, you know what, you're going to be a civilian in a couple months. Go do all these things, and it's up to you to kind of do a checklist. To kind of go see these different places. And again, you're a young kid, and you're like, man, I just want to go home. I want to hang out with my friends, get drunk, do whatever. So you don't really pay attention to a lot of the stuff. And then when you do get home, there's no resources here in the civilian world for a transitioning veteran. Now there is. See, but there weren't in 2004 when I got home.
Yeah, no.
And then 2005 when I went to school at NKU. We had a great woman there who part of her job was to help veterans with their DD-214 and trying to figure out if they could get college credit for some of the schools that they attended, whatever. But myself and some other veterans saw a need for a veterans resource there at NKU.
Yeah.
And there are other colleges around the country that have had those, but so we co-founded the Student Veterans Organization at NKU. At the time it was NKU Vets, but the name has since changed to Norse Vets. But that was one of the biggest challenges for me was, okay, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to use these benefits, but how?
Right. What do you do? What's the next step? Well, I think you bring up a couple of great points, actually. First of all, transitioning out is the military does a great job teaching you how to be a warrior, right? Or teaching you how to be in the military.
Yep.
What they don't do is a great job of teaching you how to be a civilian again, because it's totally different.
Well, and a lot of us, it's completely different because when you join the military, you may have still been a minor at that point, or you could have been an adult for a couple months. Right. A lot of guys and girls joining the military
by age, by mental capacity, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's completely it's a new world. You've been in the amount of time you've been in. Things have changed in the civilian world.
Right.
So you were incredibly sheltered in the military because our food, our housing,
everything's taken care of.
All of that, our healthcare, all of that is taken care of. When you get in the civilian world, it's like, oh, I've got to do these things. Somebody's not going to hand it to me, and so it's definitely a change.
Well, I'll take advantage of the segue, I think, because that's why TVCA was created, Tri-State Veterans Community Alliance, and an offshoot of that was the Northern Kentucky Military Veteran Coalition. TVCA has a veteran in processing and welcome center, because if you're in the military, if you go from base to base, where's the first stop? It's the processing center, right? Yep. But when you come as civilian, there's no in processing center. So we purposely named it like that because all veterans can come and we can help you, transition into whatever it is you need.
Cool. Yeah.
And the other piece of that was in Kentucky specifically, there's a lack of veteran resources.
Absolutely.
There is.
Yep.
And so the North Kentucky Military Veteran Coalition is developed to be a place that you can gather those resources from. So please, if you're looking for resources, if you just want to understand what's out there for you as a veteran or a military member or a family member if you're dependent, is to give us a call at 513-845-6822, and we'll be able to guide you to those directions. Again, it's 513-845-6822, and we can put you in the right area that you need to go, no matter what you're trying to get accomplished. Because that's what we try to do for you. But no, I appreciate that. That's tremendous. The final question of your military career is, what was the experience that you went through? And obviously you had a unique experience because you fell 40 some feet from a helicopter.
Well, and I'm also unique too.
Based and your your hard charger, a Pioneer and Smooth.
That's right.
So that's why we chose Buffalo Trace.
Like our Buffalo Trace
for you as the Bourbon. But how did that experience, that military experience, kind of affect your life today?
It's a part of who I am today. I wouldn't be the driven individual I am if it wasn't for those skills I learned in the military and the people that I served with on a daily basis. And that's something that is really lacking here in the civilian world, but that I still live my life, and I'm certain you do, and I'm certain friends that are first responders do as well. But living for the guy next to you, the girl next to you, I couldn't imagine how amazing our world would be if we thought about the things that we do on a daily basis it's not just about me. It's not just about my family. I want to help out this
Right.
person, this person over here.
Yeah.
So that was a huge thing for me. So that's what, on a daily basis, I think about, how can I make today better for someone else or for somebody on my team. And then another thing is that it's taught me gratitude. We talked about in my military service. So I went to two different third world countries. So when my first tour, when I was stationed in Alaska, we got to do a joint mission with the Thai Rangers. August of 1998, we flew 18 hours from Anchorage, Alaska, Fort Richardson, to Thailand. We rigged up in flight and we jumped into the country.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
And it was a pretend mission. It was kind of just a training mission. But I was able to see the way that people live. It was like going back in time. It was 1997, and we drove through the cities there. It was like 1950.
Wow.
It was like pictures and video I saw from 1950.
Right.
And then going to Iraq and seeing the way that people lived and the way that region has lived for 2,000 plus years.
Right.
So for me, gratitude is a big part of my daily routine. I'm thankful every day when I wake up for the day that I have, and then I look to see, can I make this day any better for somebody else because I was given this day.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, obviously we want to thank you for your service and appreciate you for everything that you went through and did as part of your military. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to throw in a special little treat. I hope you enjoy it. And we'll be back to talk a little bit about what you do to give back to our veteran community. And that's one of the things that we realized as we went through the Northern Kentucky Military Veteran Coalition was a lack of a veteran community. Well, you help provide that with Team RWB and 22 Until None. So we'll come back here in just a few moments and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So
cool.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to your service. Cheers to you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Grandma's candles burning and the smell of apple pie. Oh, holy night, playing
Welcome back. I'm here with my special guest, Mr. Jesse Neack from Team RWB and also 22 Until None. And we're going to talk a little bit about those organizations. Of course, you got the great jacket on now, and we talked about this earlier during the break, but you got the pants to match it as well. So, and I guess he's going to show you what those pants look like. And the belt buckle. Look at that belt buckle. Yeah, that's awesome. Of course, we're sitting here enjoying our Buffalo Trace Old Fashions with the little Martis twist. They're very good, very good. I think the bar agrees. You agree, Bar? You like these?
They're fantastic.
Yeah, Bar's all excited about it as well. We're all having some Buffalo Trace Old Fashions here tonight. Tell me, just to get into a little bit about the organizations, tell me a little bit about 22 Until None and how you got involved with that.
Sure. So, gotta think of Facebook. I think I was scrolling through Facebook one day, and a friend of a friend maybe shared something, and I saw this about 22 Until None, and then obviously, the number 22 is, we're not going to sit here and argue about how many veterans a day commit suicide, because
one is too many.
Yeah,
right?
one is too more
right.
than 0.1 per
right.
day if it's calculated out is too many. But I saw this and I think it was kind of a call out from the organization 22 Until None. It was a pilot program for chapters, and so I was like, you know what? Let me go check this out. Let's see if we have a chapter, because I'd like to help out. We didn't have one here in Cincinnati, and so then I followed the instructions on if you don't have one, and it said do this and submit it. And I got an email the same day back from the vice president. And she's like, so how interested are you? Who are you? Let's talk some more. And we talked some more, and here I am sitting in front of you as the chapter president of the Cincinnati chapter, 22 Until None.
Well, that's awesome. Real quick, just cheers to you for stepping up and setting that up. And because like you mentioned before, one is way too many. So whatever we can do to help prevent those suicides is important, especially during this holiday season. Unfortunately, I was just notified this past weekend that we had a local veteran that committed suicide. He's got twin little kids under the age of 1.
It's a bad time of year for people, and veterans suicide will strike any time, but anytime you're close to holidays, and that's really what 22 Until None is. We have a ton of veteran support organizations out there, and they're great. But everyone has typically different missions, and obviously different funding sources as well. Yep. What we do primarily, 22 Until None, we are a network for veterans. We have some funding. We're working on growing that funding, but right now there's not a ton of money behind us. But for veterans, there doesn't have to be a lot of money behind you. If you can just be a sounding board for a veteran, because we have all, I'm sure we have all been there. I know I've been there. Yep. I'm not going to speak for you, but
I wanted to commit suicide when I got back from my deployment. Also, when I retired from the military, because you have that purpose and passion, that high focus, and then you lose all of that.
All of a sudden, it's gone.
And you just don't know where to turn or go. And 22 Until None is one of those agencies that you can turn to help be that sounding board, like you mentioned.
That's it. I mean, we do have the capability to help if a veteran is in a difficult position and need to, pay some bills or whatever. But we are primarily a network.
Right.
My phone is there and my number's out there on the website. For if a veteran is just, if that thought starts to creep in, or if you're holding a gun in your hand, or you're right there at the moment. That's what we're about, is creating a network for veterans to say, look, I need someone who can understand where I'm sitting right now, where I've been, and the struggles and the emotions I'm feeling. Absolutely,
and just the two of us sitting here, obviously we're both veterans, we both experienced it, and we had those feelings out there.
Yeah.
And I will tell you right here, right now, I am so happy I didn't go through with my plan to do it, because it gets better. Very few things are all and none, but you have to be able to reach out and talk to the right people, and you can do that through your organization. You can contact me, and we'll make sure to get you into the right place.
Yeah, no, but you said something great. It's a moment. It's a moment in time. It's going to get better. We all struggle. We struggle daily with things. It's about getting past that moment of of weak. I'm going to call it what it is. It's a moment of weakness.
It is. It
and
really is.
that's why it feels so terrible to us, because we've been taught those emotions. We've been taught you suppress those emotions.
Yep.
And when those emotions bubble to the surface, you feel weak and you feel like you've lost control. But it's just about getting past that moment of weakness and realizing, look, dude, I can do this. I can drive on. I can Charlie Mike, and I'm good.
Right, absolutely. And it's a community, and we are here as a community for everybody that might have those feelings.
Yeah.
But we're also a community for just involvement, and that's what Team RWB does as well.
Yep.
Because you're also part of Team RWB, and it involves that community, and it helps with that transition because you bring civilians, and you bring military, you bring veterans, you bring everybody together to build that tribe and that community to help support each other. Can you talk a little bit about Team RWB?
Team RWB was a huge part of my transition back to civilian life.
Absolutely.
As I mentioned, I came off active duty in 2004, struggling with who I was, where I was.
That purpose and passion. It's
Purpose and passion,
right?
I got a job, and that was cool because that was it was what I was supposed to do, and I was making money, so it allowed me to go to the bar and drink and forget about all the nonsense, suppress those emotions.
Right. Everything you went through.
And then a buddy of mine, I went to NKU, started NKU in 2005, and a guy I met at school told me about this organization, Team RWB, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then I did a little bit of research and realized, oh yeah, they're a running group, which
Right.
is what everyone
Everybody thinks
that we
it's
are.
an exercise kind of group, but
And I said,
it's
dude,
not.
I swore when I came off active duty in 2004, I'd never run again.
I got 3 braces on right now. You know what I mean?
But at that point in 2005, when I met, it was 06, I think, when the guy turned me on to RWB, I'd been in a desk job for 2 years, out of the military. I'd put on some pounds, and I was like, all right, I feel like crap, and I should probably start working out again.
Right.
So I hooked up with RWB, and they're probably one of the reasons why I'm sitting here next to you, in front of you. The primary mission of Team RWB is to help veterans reintegrate back into society through physical and social activities. Rusty mentioned, when we come off of active duty, we miss that sense of purpose. We miss that sense of community, that camaraderie. And RWB provides that to I forget the number, and it's on my phone, but I'm not going to grab it. But we have so many regions where we're not just nationwide in the U.S., we're worldwide, and it's we've got chapters that are in FOBs in Afghanistan.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
And really, what it's about is just coming together as a community, and I think we'll probably talk a little bit later about community service, but that's another one of the things that we do through Team RWB. So you've got the physical activity. We've got crazy people who are triathletes, who are Iron men and women, but we've also got people who are couch to 5K, who have either been out of the service for 10 years and swore they would never run again. Or we've got civilians who, hey, I heard about RWB, I want to be a part of it. And then they realize, hey, I can bond with these people while I'm out doing this, whatever X is with them, running or whatever.
Right. Well, it's that reintegration back into the community, right? So obviously not everybody's a veteran. Not everybody's in the military. There's lots of civilians out there. There's about 1% that actually are true veterans today. And that number is growing smaller and smaller as we talk. But it's getting back into that community feel, and that a lot of people join the service, whatever the reason is, when they exit the service, it's about service, right? Yeah. It's about giving back and bring back that community, and that's huge to support and just being able to provide that community that's out there and bringing everything together. But you mentioned, you got the swimmers, the triathletes, the 5Ks, the half marathons, the marathoners. But you also do things like book club and bowling. I've been to trivia night. There's all kinds of activities that are involved that everybody can feel and get involved with. And
we've got a bunch of crazy ruckers who do things. And for those of you unaware, a ruck is in the Army. It's the pack that we carry on our back. And so rucking is carrying that pack, X amount of miles. And I know this will air in December, but I'll call out back to November. We did a service project at a small little country cemetery called Constance Cemetery out in Hebron, Kentucky.
Yep.
And we had a ruck group that had a call out to do a service project, and we went out and just cleared a whole bunch of brush and debris and whatever at this little cemetery that has graves that date back to the Civil War and possibly earlier.
Right.
So it's not, Team RWB is not just about running, cycling, triathlons. It's about connecting back with the community. Again, I don't think it's a coincidence that military service has service in it. I think service is a big component of the reason why people join the military. And I think it's something we miss when we come off active duty.
Absolutely.
So I think by providing service to the communities we live in, it's part of the healing process for all of us.
Well, that's a great point that you mentioned too, is that healing process, because I'm a big component in that everybody heals a little bit differently. And you got to find the right match and right fit to make sure that you heal properly.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that the Northern Kentucky Military Veteran Coalition is able to provide is a whole bunch of resources.
Yep.
Obviously, Team RWB is a great fit for a lot of folks. 22 Until None is a great fit for other folks. If it's not the great fit for you, if you don't feel comfortable about that, then there's other avenues that are available to you. Because the bottom line is, and get back to 22 Until None, is we want none. That's the ultimate goal. So whatever that right fit is, we can help provide that service.
We understand that none's never going to happen, but that it's an incredibly lofty goal. But if it goes from 22 to 21.6, that's good. That's a win. That's a success.
Everyone.
So every one suicide that we stop, that's success. Everyone should feel good about that.
Absolutely agree. And I go back to my old days where I ran a program called AADD, which was Airmen Against Drunk Driving. And I went to my base commander and I said, I want 0 on this base because you'll never get that goal. And it's like, if we don't have that goal, how are we ever going to get one less? Yeah. And we gotta keep going one less. Just keep going one less. And that's ultimately what you're trying to do with Team RWB and 22 Until None, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So going back to just 22 Until None, and then we'll jump back into Team RWB. But if you had an angel donor that could give you $1 million right now, and hopefully they're out there, to be able to provide that,
it'd be amazing.
What would you be able to do with that money?
I think we've got a ton of veterans out there in the pipeline to where we can set them up for success. We've got and obviously I can't speak. I'm just a chapter president, so I funnel folks to corporate for us. But I'm sure we have a list of folks in the pipeline that are in need or constantly in need or at risk. And that's the thing for us in the community is identifying those at-risk folks and continuing follow-up for them. So if we could identify some at-risk guys, and we had guys and girls, we have that list. If we had $1 million, we could set those folks up on a plan, on a path. You could choose, let's say 25, 50, 100, whatever. I mean $1 million could go a long way with veterans because you get them 2 steps ahead of where they're at. You can probably get them on that correct path to whether it's recovery, whether it's just I'm just behind on bills and I just need to catch up. And then once I'm here, I've got a job and I've got this. So if you're out there, if you're an angel donor, 22 Until None could use your $1 million and could do some real good with it. And I'll send you some success stories. I'll deliver them to your door.
Right, that's absolutely correct, and we talked about this tremendous, throughout the night. But it's about getting everybody together, and it's a tribe, a community. So it's a support system that's available for you. If you want to learn more, please check out our website at tristatevca.org or both our Facebook pages. We have 2. It's Tri-State VCA. And also the Military Veteran Coalition. Of course, you guys also have ways that you can be reached out to. How does people that want out there want to get connected? How they connect with you?
Yeah, so 22 Until None has a Facebook page, so you can check that out. We have the Cincinnati chapter of 22 Until None is the page is for veterans only, and that's for confidentiality reasons. But we have a support page that is Cincinnati 22 Until None Friends, so you can find that on Facebook. Team RWB has, you can go to teamrwb.org to find out if you're watching this from New York or wherever you are. That'd be awesome if, you just happened upon this and you're watching it from California or New York or wherever else.
Well, we're on YouTube, so you can see it anywhere.
But then the Cincinnati chapter, we have a Cincinnati chapter Facebook page for Team RWB Cincinnati. It's Team RWB Cincinnati on Facebook. But
awesome.
You can find us there. And we're also on the resource page for TVCA. So
Absolutely.
There are links to us and all the other great organizations there on the TVCA website.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Is if you go to our website, tristatevca.org, we have all the resources listed. You can call us at 513-845-6822, and we'll connect you directly to those folks. Thank you. So we talked about how they reach out to you, so we understand that. And I'll throw a bumper sticker up there, too, to make sure that they'll be able to reach out to both Team RWB and 22 Till None. Kind of the last couple questions that we want to talk about is who else out there are you familiar with that I need to get on this show? Who else should we reach out to?
We've had one of the crazy people on the show. That I think he was the pilot episode, and that's Guff.
Yep, Zach.
And I love Guff, and everybody knows Guff. That's the great thing about him, and everybody knows about the organization.
Yep.
So that's awesome. One person in particular, I know that you have to have on the show. I'm gonna call her out because she was supposed to be here with me tonight.
Well, Miss
That's
Robin.
our friend Robin Pruitt. So she is my co-chair on the Northern Kentucky Military Veteran Coalition. So Rusty has stepped back a little bit from the group. Actually, he hasn't really stepped back. He's just kind of handed responsibility over to us. But like any great relationship, Robin does most of the work, and I take the credit for it.
Yeah.
So definitely Robin.
Well, you're the hard charger, the pioneer, but smooth, just like Buffalo Trace.
That's it. I'm the pretty face.
Yep.
Robin is the hard worker in the background.
Right.
I'd like to see our friend Joe Montgomery.
Okay.
From Operation Honor.
Absolutely.
On this, I think he would be great on it. He's a well-spoken individual. He works for an organization that has a great purpose. Good question. Let's see. I don't know who. You know what? I'd like to see. I know we're talking about veterans in bars getting bourbon, but what if we reached out to our first responder community?
Absolutely.
And we pulled people from, the first responder community. Like, there's this guy named Tyler Neff that I'm friends with, who works for the Covington Fire Department.
Okay.
We could have him or anyone he knows on the show, and I think because I really think between our community and that community, there's a lot of crossover, and I think we could really help each other out.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about this multiple times already, but it's a community, right? It's a tribe.
Yeah.
We all need to work together to be supportive of each other to make sure that we eliminate, veteran suicide, but also any suicide, and also with Team RWB, who creates that community. So everybody and anybody is. It takes everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
It does.
Yeah. So kind of the last question for you, but what have I missed? What have we forgotten to talk about? What else can we talk about? Please share anything that's left over.
That's tough. What have we missed?
I don't know. What have we missed? I can talk about North Kentucky Military Veteran Coalition.
I hope some of you watching this were at our Trunk and Treat this year.
Huge success again this year.
This is our second year. Huge success again. So the weather decided to not cooperate again, so we moved it inside. Thankfully, we did that with enough time to truly set up inside. But yeah, if you don't know who or what the Northern Kentucky Military Veteran Coalition is, you really need to Google it. You really need to go to the TVCA website, check it out. I'll I'll just repeat what we've said before. Team RWB Cincinnati is here locally in Cincinnati. I imagine most of the people watching this will be in and around the greater Cincinnati area. Just because I'm going to share this on my Facebook page. You're going to share it on yours. We're going to share it on NKYMVC, TVCA. But
yeah, it'll be on Twitter, it'll be on LinkedIn, it'll be on YouTube. It's all over the place.
Really, we haven't missed this, but it's just something we need to reiterate. Reach out.
Right.
It's something I post all the time on the 22 Until None pages. Is it's okay to not be okay. I think I put on a really good front all the time for a lot of the people in my life. But it's rarely a day when I'm okay every day or all day long. Mm-hmm. I'm not okay most days, but I put on a front because that's the way we were taught to be.
Right.
But I've come to realize through, whether it's counseling, whether it's, having friends like you and like these guys behind the camera and the rest of the bar, it's cool to not be okay, man. You can talk about the stuff that makes you cry when you're not alone.
Right.
It's cool to cry in front of your friends too. It really is. They might call you something after we turn cameras off, but that's okay. Yes, I almost said that word on camera.
Yeah.
But no, I'll say it again. It's okay to not be okay.
All right. We kind of talked about this earlier. We both went through a struggle point in our life, especially when we got out of the military, because you have that purpose and passion. I keep going back to that purpose and passion because it's high level. When you're in the military, you understand what the mission is. You understand what you got to accomplish. You understand what you got to do. You have a brotherhood, a sisterhood, a community that works together to get that mission accomplished. And when you get out, it's like, okay, what's the next step? Where do I go? Where's the area? But there is community services out there like 22 Until None, like Team RWB, like TVCA, like the North Kentucky Military Veteran Coalition. We're here to support and help and be part of that tribe together to make sure that we can continue forward. I appreciate you being open and honest. I struggle tremendously. I still struggle. I'll be honest with you. I was driving home the other day, and I was like, man, it'd be so much easier just not to be involved in this. But that's not the point. It's all the support that's out there and the system that's out there, the family that's out there, and being involved and engaged and everything. So I appreciate your openness, your honesty. I love the fact that you have the red, white, and blue suit, which is really cool. This is a Christmas type episode because we're filming this for the December thing. That's the reason we chose Buffalo Trace, because it has that cinnamon type feel to the caramel, the orange citrus and everything. I encourage you to pick that up on your holiday travels, but please reach out if you need anything. We're fortunate enough, again, with the TVCA, the Tri-State Veterans Community Alliance, and my new hat here I'm sporting tonight.
I like that.
Yeah, that's Quit Stitch Design sent that to me. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's just one area. But you can always reach out to us if it's via phone at 513-845-6822, 513-845-6822. We have two websites or two Facebook pages as well, Tri-State VCA or the North Kentucky Military Veteran Coalition. The website is tristatevca.org. That's Victor Charlie Alpha. .org. And of course you can reach out to Team RWB. You can reach out 22 Until None, but we're more than happy to help you connect in any way we can. We appreciate you. We love you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And cheers.
Cheers
to you.
Hey, and if you're struggling to find a gift for a loved one, Buffalo Trace is an amazing gift. And then you could also find me somehow through this video or some of the websites. There's an amazing shirt that Rusty's just going to hold up for a minute. If you know the story behind it, it's a great story. If not, it's just a fun shirt to wear. And people might ask you about it. So.
Well, I think everybody that watched this video understands the story as we talked about through your military career. But again, thank you for watching. We appreciate you. Thank you to our staff that help us produce this. Thank you to you.
Thank
and
you.
Merry Christmas.
Cheers.
Happy
Merry
New Year. And cheers.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.